The future of popular video sharing app TikTok could be in jeopardy. Although one cybersecurity expert says if TikTok is banned, then it's time to consider doing the same for other data collecting apps.
If our Congress is really concerned about protecting our privacy of the citizens, they should think holistically. If the only concern is that other country will be able to learn about users' data, users' behavior, user intention, but then Facebook is no different, right?
Digital privacy concerns shouldn't be taken lightly, according to UW Greenbay Information Systems professor Gaurav Bansal.
It learns so quickly about our deepest desires. I mean, you will be surprised how much it can learn so quickly about us.
Republican Mike Gallagher recently called into question the safety of the app owned by Chinese tech company ByteDance. Since the announcement of the proposed legislation, content creators like Cody Green have weighed in.
I was able to make a career out of what happened because of TikTok. I was able to start doing motivational speaking around the country, and I was able to start working with other amazing creators.
With 1.2 million followers, Green has been using his platform to spread awareness for mental health. The La Crosse native says without his audience, he wouldn't be where he is today. Bansal says the app's algorithm can be used to learn complex data about individuals who use it.
If a foreign country can know what our citizens really want deep inside, I mean, it is a intelligence issue.
But that's not the only issue Gallagher has with it.
TikTok is digital fentanyl, addicting our kids.
But Green says TikTok can actually be used as an educational tool.
I think people see content about depression, anxiety, and mental illness, and they assume that it's increasing. What it's actually doing is just giving a platform them to talk about it.
He says it would be unfair to remove it entirely just because
I come here and I see the gate wide open. I'm like, oh man.
16-year-old Summer Thays couldn't help but think the worst when her 3 pet emus escaped their enclosure in Cecil.
Someone's gonna hit them, or someone. If I don't get them in by hunting week, someone's gonna mistake them for deer.
I look behind me. There's a high fence deer farm behind me, and I looked over there and I saw something walking with 2 legs. I'm like, what in the world is that?
When Appleton native Asher Torbeck got a better look, he knew exactly what that 2-legged creature was, walking on his family's land that he's hunted on for 2 decades.
It was kind of bizarre. I'm like, why did an emu just walk under my tree?
The next day, the emu found him again, but this time, so did a 6-point buck.
And the emu stands up real quick, and the deer stops in his tracks, and now they're just looking at each other like, what in the world are you?
After about a 10-minute stare down, Torbeck says the deer turned, giving him an open shot.
I thought, who else in the world can say they shot a buck while an emu was running a distraction for him? So I ended up shooting the buck and looked over at the emu because I thought, oh man, that big bang, I hope I didn't scare it. I didn't even think of that. So I look over and the emu's still standing right there. Okay.
Torbeck doesn't even have a picture with the deer he shot. He says it's one of the smallest that he's harvested, and he didn't even think about it because he was so caught up with the emu. His story with the bird doesn't end with the successful hunt. He caught up with her again the following day.
After a few selfies for proof of his story, Torbeck earned the emu's trust enough to have it follow him 2 miles out of the woods to meet up with the owner's brother.
We're told that if you put a sock over the emu's head that it would go docile. So we're like, okay, I'll give it a shot.
After a couple tries, Torbeck was able to get the sock in place.
I let go, and her head's waving all over the place. And me and the brother were like, we got to do something here because she's either going to run off into the woods with a sock over her head or she's going to hit her head on something.
The pair was able to pick her up and safely get her transported back to Thays, reuniting Limu the emu with the separately captured Tweety Bird and Peep Peep.
I'm just relieved that they're all back home and safe and nothing got to them. I'm just overjoyed that they're all back home.
A northeast Wisconsin shipwreck has been added to the National Register of Historic Places. The Wisconsin Historical Society says the wreck of the Sydney Onef, shown in these photos, was added on November 7th. The society says it launched from Manitowoc in 1890 and worked in the Great Lakes lumber trade into the early 20th century. It was then converted into a steam barge before service ended, and it sunk in 1939. Now it sits southwest of the Marinette Harbor. A historian says this allows people to study the construction of early converted steam barges in the Great Lakes lumber trade.
Sydney Onef itself is this very representative kind of vessel for the Great Lakes. So the Great Lakes really had this common common theme, I guess you could say, of adaptive reuse. So you'd have vessels that started to age, and then instead of just getting rid of them and building something new, they were converted into other vessels. They were sometimes used as, docks and piers and different things like that, or clubhouses, or, anything like that. That was a very Great Lakes kind of mindset during that era.